Zach here. Hopefully you guys are doing well. It's week 5 here, so hopefully you guys are up early watching the first game. We got a pretty good one so far going on between the Jets and the Vikings. Close game. Nice to see it sort of coming down to the fourth quarter at least. Didn't look like we were going to get a full game of competitive football early on, so that's always fun. A couple of notable injury updates here this week. Lots of probably really difficult start-sit questions for a lot of us. I know I had some really tough decisions to make this week, so hopefully I can help you guys out there. In this, I'll just go through the actives and inactives, just what we know so far, and then of course if you guys have any questions along the way, just ask me in the comments and I'll make sure I get you guys an answer before we kick off here. So yeah, that being said, let's get started here. We'll start off with the actives. Shorter list this week, which I guess is not necessarily great news. So obviously David Njoku, Trey McBride, those are two of the biggest names. Nice to see them back on the football field this week, especially with how brutal the tight end position is. I think you're just playing both those guys regardless. I've got Trey McBride and Tucker Kraft in a league. I'm still going to play Trey McBride, so if that helps you guys decide there. But Tucker Kraft is the guy that I actually do think is in line for a pretty solid week. Odell Beckham Jr., he should be active this week. I don't think that really means anything. I mean, he's the third wide receiver at best on an offense that hasn't been able to sustain one, so you're not doing anything, but it's just, maybe he'll make a fun play every now and then, so fun to have him back. Brian Robinson, he's going to be active along with Austin Ekeler for the Washington Commanders, so they'll be at full strength in their running back room. It'll be interesting to see how the snap shares go. Brian Robinson was sort of looking like he was trending towards not playing this week before we got sort of a surprise that he's going to be active last night. So hopefully he's active and fully ready to go here. Not a great matchup against the Cleveland Browns there, but I think you're playing Brian Robinson as like a low-end RB2. Kendrick Bourne, active. He was activated off the PUP this week list this week for the Patriots. That doesn't mean a whole lot. Like we aren't trusting any of the Patriots pass catchers anyway right now, but just keep an eye on it. It's just, at some point, I think there will be value in that wide receiver room, so we'll see who steps up as the one. Bourne has had some good games for them in the past. Moving on into the inactives here. For the inactives, we've got a long list here. So Joe Mixon, he'll be inactive, as will Dameon Pierce. It's going to be another week of Cam Akers, but, even with Cam Akers, you're looking at, a lot of J.J. Taylor. You're going to see more Dario Gumbawale than you want, but it is a really great matchup this week against the Buffalo Bills. Technically the best matchup in terms of fantasy points given up to the opposing running backs. So if you want to consider playing Cam Akers, I could see a world where that does work out for us. So, it's a low-end play. You're hoping he falls in the end zone. He's not going to catch passes or anything, so it could work out, but it's a really low-end play, but I know a lot of us are hurting out here, so Cam Akers is not the worst option in the world. Jeff Wilson, he's going to be inactive today because Raheem Mostert's returning to the lineup. Again, I'm not playing any. Like, you can play Devon Achane if you want to. It's a low-end play, though. Like, he's a low-end RB2 for me this week. I just can't really trust any of the Dolphins, really. I think Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane are both low-end starting options, and that's about it. But, it'll be good to see Raheem Mostert back. Hopefully we can see him and, eventually get Tua back and just sort of see this offense be what it was supposed to be. KJ Osborne, he's going to be inactive, so I mentioned that Kendrick Bourne was active this week. KJ Osborne, he'll be inactive, sort of just in line with that. Again, doesn't really mean anything there. Noah Brown, he'll be inactive. I think it's a good opportunity here for Luke McCaffrey to potentially step up. I think Terry McLaurin's still a really solid starting option. Zach Ertz, it's just a couple more targets for those guys. I think Luke McCaffrey's they got to keep an eye on. I think he will eventually be the clear wide receiver 2 for this Commanders offense. So if you want to try and get ahead of the curve and just add him off the waiver wire right now, you could. Not expecting a lot there, but just worth noting. For the Colts, both Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, they're going to be inactive today. So you're looking at Joe Flacco, Trey Sermon being the two main guys there. Joe Flacco, he looked pretty good last week. He's looked great so far. I think it makes you really confident about starting both Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. Trey Sermon, a low-end running back play. You're hoping he falls in the end zone. That's a similar thing to like Cam Akers. Not a very good player, but he's getting thrust into potentially a workhorse role. So you could play him if you needed to. Khalil Shakir, he will be inactive this week. Doesn't mean a whole lot for me. Khalil Shakir was not a guy that I was super stoked about playing this week in this matchup against the Texans anyway. I think it's just better for Dalton Kincaid. James Cook should be in line for a good week. I'm not worried about Josh Allen because he'll find a way to make it work anyway. Keon Coleman's they got to keep an eye on. Maybe he finds a way to get more involved. They talked about maybe getting Khalil Shakir or Curtis Samuel more involved this week, so we could see what happens there. But I don't really want to play any wide receivers for the Bills this week. Nick Chubb, he'll be inactive. Great to see him practice this week. I think it'll probably be 2 or 3 more weeks before we see Nick Chubb on the football field, but really excited to see him practicing, and hopefully he can come back and be full strength, so that's really cool. For the Packers, we have Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson both out this week. Romeo Doubs, I don't know what he's doing. He's shooting himself in the foot. He's missing practice, skipping practice because he's unhappy with the targets he's getting. I don't get that. He's been on the field a ton, so it just seems weird to complain about that. I mean, if you're on the field, it's just your fault for not getting targets. So I don't know what Romeo Dobbs is doing there. You're looking at Jayden Reed and Dontavian Wicks is absolutely fantastic plays this week. Tucker Kraft as well. Keep an eye on Bo Melton if you're like in a super deep league. I think Bo Melton's somewhat talented, but we'll see what happens with that situation. But it's probably just Reed and Wicks, and that's it. Zamir White, he will be out this week. It makes Alexander Mattison a really low-end running back play. It's a really tough matchup against the Broncos. They look like one of the best defenses in the NFL, but you could do worse there. Let's see. Good morning. Someone dropped Jordan Love a couple of weeks ago, so now I have him and Burrow. Who are you leaning towards this week? I would definitely go Jordan Love this week. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in that Rams-Packers matchup. I think we're going to see a lot of points put up, and I really do think Love's in line for a big week. You can't really go wrong. Burrow's a great start as well. Ravens, if you're going to beat them through the air, but it's just a little bit scary because you're looking at a situation where they did shut down the Josh Allen and the Bills last week, so that's tough to go with. But I do think that it would be Jordan Love for me. Let's see, Chris, Tyrone Tracy or Tutu Atwell. I think in full PPR I'd go Tracy, but if you're in like non PPR or half PPR, I'd go Atwell. You're hoping for a big play with Atwell, but Tyrone Tracy should be the primary back for the Giants, and I do think he'll catch a lot of dump downs, so I think he's a pretty safe PPR play. Cooper Kupp, he'll also be inactive this week. It sounds like they're planning on getting him to return in about 2 weeks, so they've got a bye after this week, and he'll probably come back on October 20th. Not sure about Puka Nacua, but it's good to know with Cooper Kupp that you're at least trending in that right direction. Devin Singletary, we just talked about it, Chris. Devin Singletary is probably likely going to be inactive, as is Malik Neighbors. The Giants are going to be missing most of their weapons. They're going to have to lean on both Wan'Dale Robinson and Tyrone Tracy. Not going to put up a lot of points, I don't think, but I think you can PPR your way to pretty good production out of both of those guys. But yeah, other than that, no actives or inactives else that we need to go over here. If anybody else has any questions, I'll stick around for a minute or two. And if not, just drop a comment on the video. I'll make sure to get you guys a comment back or a response back before the start of the game, so that way we can get your lineup set. Yeah, just watching the Jets Vikings game right now. Jets are gonna have to punt. So hopefully the Vikings can end score. I had to force Sam Darnold into my lineup in a league because I was missing Hurts and the waiver options were not great. So that's not going well so far. But yeah, other than that, appreciate you guys for stopping by. If you guys have any questions, again, just let me know in the comments. I'll get you guys a response before the games kick off. And good luck in week 5. Let's get some wins, and I'll catch you guys with the recap. So thanks everybody. Have a good luck this week.